Friends with breasts and all the rest. Friends dressed in leather. Friend in need, friend indeed. Friend who'll tease is better. A thoughtful quest which makes us less. Makes the story better. Well, hello, hello. Fashionably late as usual. Hope the notification goes out. Sorry, I had a slight change of plans. Um, I had a live scheduled earlier for 1 o'clock Eastern time, and then I changed it because I have something of more importance that I wanted to discuss today. So I'm just going to give it a few minutes. Hopefully, the notification goes out. I am streaming in multiple places today. If you would like to join the main chat, it's on the YouTube link that I posted on Twitter. And I'm also streaming to my backup channel because this one, you never know. And I'm also streaming to Kim's Trippin', which is where the main chat is. Excuse me. So if you'd like to be involved in the main chat, please come to Kim's Trippin' on YouTube and join the party. I got a few different things I would like to talk about today. So I'm just going to give it a minute and see if anybody fucking rolls in. It is Saturday afternoon. I don't know what's going on. And I did kind of screw everybody up because I did send out multiple invites earlier, but then I changed the forum and the time. So how's everybody doing today? Danny, thanks for stopping by, sending a message, digging the cap. I'm all about the hats. Always have been. It's kind of a weird thing. My favorite one though lately is the friggin' tinfoil hat. I like toques. I like baseball hats. I don't know what it is about the hats, but yeah. So let's talk about a couple things today. So the first thing I would like to talk about is I have a very, very dear friend who I've known for about probably longer than 5 years at this point. And she is one of those friends that she's got the biggest heart and doesn't even know it. Maybe she does, but I don't think she understands just how good she really is. And she's like many of us who, when we are in a difficult situation, we have a hard time asking for help. I am one of those people. I am like the struggle in silence type of person before I would speak up and ask for help. But I'm always the first one to extend a hand to a friend. So that's what I'm doing today. So what I would like to talk about is I've known this friend. I'm going to speak in vague terms, okay? Because I had to talk her into letting me do this for her. She's very proud. She's very hardworking. She's very self-sufficient. She doesn't want anyone's pity or sympathy or anything of that nature. This was completely my idea. When I see one of my friends struggling, this is something that we used to do in the community that I had before, that I've talked about on my other channel with the Feldman shit and all that. It was actually a very large community. And there was a bunch of us that used to help each other out. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my voice today. I feel like I'm losing it. I've been trying to fight off a cold all week. So anyways, as I was saying, we used to have a very large community, and it was one of those communities where it was like we were kind of sisters, really. Like, I mean, we had each other's backs. We would talk to each other about serious things. We supported each other at times when, maybe people who were around us every day maybe didn't even have a clue of what was going on. But we had those people that we held very near and dear to our hearts that we would trust with anything. And I actually miss doing this for people as well, how they're and I also miss that community because it's hard to find people like that anymore. So I asked her, I had to actually talk her into allowing me to do this for her because, like I said, she is the first person that will absolutely step up, support you, help you in more ways than she even knows. And when this video comes across her YouTube, I want to say thank you to her because I went through something recently that not a lot of people know about, as a matter of fact. And for some reason, she reached out to me, and it was just, I guess the stars aligned, much like they did today, what we were talking about earlier. And I was going through something that not a lot of people knew about. And hey Grant, hey Chris, hey Heather, hey Danny, and I'm streaming to multiple places today. I'm streaming to my Twitter, I'm streaming to my backup channel, and I'm streaming to Kim's Trippin. The main chat, if you want to join the party, is on Kim's Trippin on YouTube. So if you're watching this on Twitter, I can't see your comments as of right now because it only shows me my main channel for some reason. One of those things I guess they have to work out. So back to this friend. So I was going through something and she just happened to reach out to me at the right time, and I let my guard down, which is not something I do very often. I am, I don't know if you call it pride or stupidity or what the hell you call it, but I'm just, I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about myself or my problems or open up to people. Um, no, you're in the right chat, girl. So anyways, um, I reached out, or actually she reached out to me. She sensed that something was wrong, and she helped me in more ways than she knows. And it was just one of those things where, like I said, all the stars aligned, and it just happened that way. Well, now that I've talked her into allowing me to do this, I would like to try and support her because she's having a difficult time. I told her that I would keep her name and her situation kind of confidential because she's kind of proud that way, which I can totally relate to because I am the same way. So I don't want to disclose too much information. But this is something that we used to do in a previous community, and it's something that I would actually like to continue because this is the only way that we are going to be able to move through the next steps that are coming forward for everybody. We need to find our friends, we need to find our communities, we need to work together. 1 month somebody might be short for something financially or whatever the case may be, and someone has a little bit extra, and you pay it forward, and it was like a big community of people that just continuously helped each other out with no expectation because we just had those types of hearts, I guess. And we were very tight knit, and it stemmed from the Feldman community. Okay, this is kind of funny because I don't think I've talked about that on this channel. I did talk about it on my backup channel, Freedom 2022. My last live that I did on that channel, I opened up about a lot of things that people did not know about me and my previous life on YouTube, and how many rabbit holes I've been down on this platform, and many others actually. So I kind of, did like the Cliff Note version of it. It ended up being a longer live, but I think it kind of helped people understand where I was coming from. I think it helped people to understand more of, the experiences that I've had in my life. And okay, that's no problem. Experiences I've had in my life, and maybe to try and help somebody else, because it's really about, paying it forward, and not just in terms of monetary paying it forward, but, sometimes people are in the right place at the right time, and we're meant to be there for whatever reason. Like I said, it's the stars aligning or karma, or I don't know, whatever divine intervention you believe in, right? But I think that, people get messages at the right time when we need them the most. And not only does it help restore your faith in humanity, but it helps you through a difficult time, and it lets you know that people support you. And even though I don't have the huge channel that I had before, and I used to have a lot of people that, when we would do a fundraiser for somebody, we could raise hundreds of dollars, sometimes over 1,000. But I don't know if I have that platform anymore for that, but I'm still going to give it every single bit of effort that I can, because um, she's an amazing person, and everybody deserves a hand up. Okay. This is definitely not a handout. She works harder than anybody I know. She has many kids. She wears a lot of hats. Okay. And she's not looking for handouts. She's looking for a hand up. And sometimes that's all we need in life, is just a hand up. And then when you're in a better position and you're able to do that, you pay it forward to somebody else. And I believe that's what karma is helping people out. So before I get into all of that, I would like to share a couple videos that were sent to me, a couple clips of things, just to take a little walk down memory lane for some shits and giggles and shits. And some of my people on this channel are going to be like, what is going on? Like, I haven't been very open about my previous endeavors on YouTube, at least on this channel. But they're about to find out a lot of information that they probably didn't know. I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. I've blocked a lot of that shit out because this is going back a couple years now. And, but, you have to laugh at the highlights of shit. So again, the PayPal link that you see that my friend is dropping in the chat, is to me, and I'm going to forward it to her. Now, just keep in mind, I'm in Canada. My friend is located in the US, and I really had to talk her into this, because she just saved my life, really, in all honesty. And I keep trying to tell her that, and she won't fucking acknowledge it or accept that. But you just have to know when someone's in a bad spot. Certain people just have this intuition. Hey, Al, how are you? Certain just even by a simple status or a simple tweet, or just, I don't know. Sometimes I have the same ability. When you're on the same wavelength as people, you can tell when someone's got something on their mind and they're struggling with it, and you just send them a message privately, and maybe that's just their opportunity to just get it out. And I know that she's too proud to ask, but because she has so many kids and she works her ass off, and she's dealing with a health issue, and she's had multiple challenges, and she's always rose above them every single time. And she doesn't even know how much I look up to her. And that's the truth. And I don't want to cry now, so I'm going to make you laugh. So let's have a couple laughs first, okay? You can link that link to the PayPal. That's my PayPal. I can forward the money to her once this is over. I will let it run for a little bit, because a lot of people are out busy. It's Saturday. Everybody's doing errands. We all work through the week, and so I will give it some time before I can send. Okay, I can give you my e-transfer after this is over. I will what do you call it? Send you my email in Messenger, Al, and you can email money transfer it to me, and then I can email money transfer it to her. I asked her about that before we started. So that's another option. If you don't have PayPal, you can put your if, like, well, Chris and Al, I have you guys on my friends list on Facebook, so I can just send you messages or whatever, and you can send it to me, and I will absolutely forward it to her. And she's helped so many people that she really deserves this. But let's have a couple laughs, because I want to introduce you to my previous life. Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. You guys see this. You guys are great fucking people. I don't care what anybody says. I tend to gravitate, I always have, towards the people that are not like everybody else. I like people with originality and personality, and not afraid to stand up for what's right, and not afraid to call people out on their bullshit, and maybe a little bit rough around the edges. But you know what? Those are the greatest people to me. And those are the people with integrity and character and loyalty and respect. And those are the people that I will fight to the death for. So let's have a couple laughs now, because I'm getting all choked up now talking about her. So, because she's that good of a person. So, but yeah, let's For those of you who are watching me right now, or for those who watch on the replay, I have talked about Corey Feldman in the past, but I want to show a couple videos that were sent to me, a couple clips, short clips, just for laughs. I think we need it. So let's start with, I don't know what particular order they're in, but let's go.
I worked my balls off for this movie, so screw you. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the bullshit. All right?
Okay, now let me explain that video. That video is after he put out his he made this campaign where he was trying to raise $10 million to make a movie. That failed epically because he got called out by Judy Haim and many, many others who were like, you know what, if this happened to you, why do you need all this money? And he felt like he needed to make a living off of this, grifting. So, he thought that we hacked his documentary, but it's really because he hired a GoDaddy website that couldn't support the infrastructure for how he was trying to release it. He blamed us for doing it. So these are the videos that he was making about us. And if I can find the full videos, I'm going to keep looking. And I've got a couple people on the case, but I think we need to revisit this. This is why I lost my big channel, by the way.
And then you lose him. And then you try to fulfill a promise, to your friend because you promised you would. You promised you'd tell his story. And I did all of this, everything that I've dedicated the last 3 years of my life to, because I believed that there was enough good people in this world to make a difference.
Okay, so that one was funny because he was crying on his Instagram and he was calling us all out, okay, because like he felt like we turned on him. And maybe fair enough, maybe we did. And you know why we did? Because he was lying. And another fun fact about that is when a person lies and you call them out on their bullshit, they can't come after you for defamation and slander and libel because you have the truth and evidence to support your position. So when you have the truth on your side, you don't have to worry about this bullshit. And that's why he wanted to make a movie so he could make a career off it, a lifelong career grifting off other people's money, not paying his bills, ripping people off allegedly, and then turning around and blaming everybody else for his failures. So just a little bit of backstory so you understand what you're seeing here. But there's a little bit more.
Messages from Michael Lundgren, or you start receiving messages from Stacey Thomas, or you start receiving messages from Kim Stern, or Susie Q, or any of these other suspicious types, know that they're all from this cult called the Wolfpack, and they all work with convicted pedophiles like Marty Weiss.
So here's a little fun fact for everybody. And the fact is we were actually looking at going after him for slander and libel and defamation. And the reason why I personally didn't is because I'm located in Canada. He's in LA. It would be very difficult to have an international lawsuit of that nature. Because there was a lot of he went online or a video, or I don't know if it was on video or on Twitter, but he called me a fudge packer. Like, seriously, okay? If he knows the definition of that, that's actually a gay slur and it's not even accurate. And he called me many things. He called me a hacker. He blamed me for everything that happened. Like, I was on his shit list, okay? And there's a backstory to that. And I will tell you why. I have no problem telling you why. But I have a couple more quick clips. So I think I just played that one. I'm pretty sure I just did.
But there's so much hate. And you know why? Because they're changing the story. That's why. They're changing the conversation. They would rather that you're focused on trying to blame me for charging you for a movie even though that's what we do. We spend our money to make a story and we put it out for public consumption and you pay us back. That's how the business works. Do you watch movies for free on Netflix? Do you watch movies for free on Amazon? Do you go to the movies for free? No. It's a business. That's how we make our survival. Okay? It's not a sham. It's not a scam.
Okay. Now, this is very interesting, okay? Now that video, like there was many videos he made about us calling us names, naming our names. Like imagine if your fucking boss was watching this, okay? Like, I mean, seriously. And what if my boss was like a Corey Feldman fan? Like, oh my God. That's why I didn't want to talk about it publicly, because it's like, oh my God, what if somebody has seen this and is just like, oh my God, right? Like, I mean, I could take a walk down memory lane. Like, I would have to really think about it because a lot of this stuff I've blocked out. But like, he has portrayed himself to represent something and somebody that he is not. He has allegedly, I have to say, because, you know, I want to cover my ass. He has falsified and misrepresented facts. We have done, okay, the last channel, the one channel that I had that was very big, got a lot of attention and had thousands and thousands of views from like super important people, okay? Let's just say whoever needed to see the info, seen it, and then some. And we backed it up with evidence and facts and documentation. We had interviews with previous employees of his previous bodyguard, the bus tour manager, other people that were associated with him. I had an interview with a guy named Bobby Wolf that used to be part of this, and then stepped down. And then that's how I got dragged into this whole mess, because Bobby Wolf stepped down and he wanted myself and my former partners to take over. And at first I didn't understand why, because Bobby Wolf was so good at what he did. He was very talented. He was very charismatic. He was very good at what he did. He would do a lot of research. The way he put things together, you know, and the way he debunked everything that Feldman would say was just bang on. But of all of the people that were involved, they went after me because it became personal, right? Now, that last video I showed you, he was online crying, and this is when Marilyn Manson went on. And sorry, you guys, just for a few more minutes, I can't see the comments, so please don't think I'm ignoring you. But when I get out of this screen, I'll be able to see them. So this particular video that I'm showing you are the clips. I got to try and find the originals. I lost them and it's on a former device. And if I can find it, I will be able to retrieve all of that information. But that's the one that Marilyn Manson went on and was like making fun of him because he was crying. But he was talking about the Wikipedia page. Now, he went on a live one time, okay? And we used to do lives back and forth. He would totally be watching our lives and, you know, like just all over us. Like I was the first one to go down. Stacy was the next. I don't think Susie ever lost her channel. I think she maybe had a strike or maybe two. I'm not sure. But I was definitely target number one. And, you know, there was a reason for that. It was because I became very close to and very trusted by Feldman and his so-called Feld fam until I woke up and seen the light. And then when I did, you know, go big or go home is my fucking theory always, right? I'm gonna leave my mark. And if you do me wrong, I'm gonna make it known. Okay. But I'm not going to go out there and say, you know, this and that. I'm going to show you what happened, and I'm going to show you with facts, because I don't really like the whole, oh, you know, I'm fighting with this person, I'm fighting with that person, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I want to let people know the truth, and so they can make educated decisions. And especially when someone's asking for money, like he was, from vulnerable people that believed him when he was misrepresenting stories. So he went on this live, that last live that I showed you, and said that we were going on to Wikipedia page, his Wikipedia page. I think it was that, or his IMDb. I can't remember which one. I think it was Wikipedia. And said that like we were editing stuff and like, people like our videos were gaining traction. They were getting a lot of attention. They were very popular, thousands and thousands of views. Like I said, people in the industry were watching. Like it was very public, shall we say. Um so like we were live when we seen this live, like because we were like making fun of him sort of thing, because we were just like, oh my god, like he's talking about us, he's naming our names, me and my friends, and blah blah blah. And it's like, what kind of shit is he doing? So while we were on the live, we go on to Wikipedia, and sure enough, our names are on there. Now, I don't know much about Wikipedia. I know it's a forum for whatever, like, and I know that there's certain people that can edit things or whatever. I don't really know much about it. Like, I'm not he's always called me a hacker. Like, dude, I can't really even use my laptop. That's why I'm streaming from a phone. Okay. Like, I don't have Edward Snowden skills. Like, so anyways, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to show you this quick clip, and it reminded me of this, and I had to giggle to myself. And of course, I wanted to share it with you guys because he just goes on any platform that will listen and just spreads this misinformation with no evidence and no facts to support it. So check this out.
You were still like on some pretty hard drugs until at least 95, right?
No, man.
Oh, no?
No. Sober.
Wow, okay.
I was sober in 89.
Wow.
And how old are you then? You're like 20 or something?
I was 18.
18.
And you've got some correcting to do on Wikipedia.
Oh, dude, Wikipedia is whacked. Don't get me started.
Right. I mean,
No. Get me
sure.
started. Let me tell you about this, okay? Let's talk. Let's be real.
I've got some shit on Wikipedia that's
I'm on
wrong,
media
too.
blackout. Do you know what media blackout means?
I don't know what that
It means that there's actually people out there that are working on a 24-hour basis to discredit and defame me and change the facts of life. So there, Wikipedia is supposed to be an open forum where anybody user-friendly can go in there and edit whatever they want, right? Which leaves you open to the truth. It also leaves you open to lies.
Right.
That's what you would think. But if me or anybody on my team tries to go into Wikipedia, you can try it right now, and you try to edit something, it'll stick for about 2 minutes, and then it goes back and reverts to whatever the bullshit was that was there. Okay, then, like if it's me and I try it, say like multiple times, 2 or 3 times, all of a sudden I get a notice up that says I'm blocked. My IP address is blocked for the next 2 years.
Wow.
And
I didn't know
anybody
that it was
that
that
tries
easy
to
to even try to change Wikipedia.
No,
I remember being on a cocaine
you
bender
should
one
be
time.
able to. You should be able to. The way that whole program is set up, the way that the website works, is it's a user-friendly basis, which means that anybody with a computer and any basic knowledge of HTML can get in there and edit it and show the links that they need to show the truth. And like it should all back up because somebody's got to go through it and go like, oh, this makes sense. This points to this. This da 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 da. But they have some kind of system on mine, maybe yours, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how truthful yours is or off yours is.
I mean, it's just like, it says I've been married twice and I've actually never been married.
Right.
So
how are they allowed to do that, though? Isn't that like
here's
libel?
The thing. Yeah, good question, right? Especially when they're purposefully blocking your IP address or anybody associated with you. So yeah, Wikimedia is the company that owns Wikipedia, and we're probably going to have to send them some very serious letters from our lawyers because this is not acceptable. They're out there lying about me. Everything on Wikipedia is BS.
What's the malicious lie?
The malicious lie is like you just said. There's, they say that I wasn't really sober, or they say like one of the things says that I went on the Today Show in October, and then 2 months later I was arrested in Louisiana. Like da 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 da. Let me tell you something. I was never arrested in Louisiana.
Right. That was
newsflash. I was not arrested. Members of my band were arrested for having weed and a half a Xanax pill. Yeah. Okay. Not my Xanax pill, not my weed. I wasn't arrested. Let's just be real. So the bottom line is there's people out there maliciously, intentionally trying to make me sound like a liar,
trying to change my credibility. Okay, because obviously, if I'm lying about this or if I'm lying about that, then those really important big stories that I told in my documentary must not be true, because obviously I'm a liar.
Okay, so I come across that by accident today, actually. That was a clip from Steve-O. Steve-O has been entertaining this idiot for too long now. And unfortunately believes everything. So did you happen to notice when he said, well, what was the really defamatory thing? And he's like, saying I'm not clean. I've been clean since 1989. Well, Corey doesn't know the truth if it hit him in the face, because in his own autobiography, choreography, you can listen to it on Audible for free. If you download the app and sign up for a 30-day membership, you get one free book download. You can listen to it. And he admits in there that he wasn't clean even in 95. And he's still not clean. So allegedly, I have to say allegedly, because I personally didn't see it, but I know many others that personally have. So be who you are. Don't lie. Don't misrepresent yourself, okay? So, I was talking with this earlier, Stace, with you, and I was saying that I would love to go to the Comic Con, but he always cancels the Niagara Falls visits every year. He has, even before the Rona hit, and I think it's because he knows it's too close, and I think he's worried about us showing up. And I would be a fucking spectacle, okay? I would be going live. I would have my megaphone. I would be up front and center, and I would be streaming. And I guarantee you, before I even got to him, security would be all over me, and I would totally do it. But he makes a living off of vulnerable people that the story resonates with them. Perhaps they were a fan of his from childhood, nostalgic reasons. And in the beginning, when I first seen him, I talked about this on my other channel, and I explained how I got involved. So I did lose my man to suicide, and it was a result of his childhood and things that had occurred to him in his childhood that do come back to you later in life. Okay, when I moved back to Ontario after Alberta, this was right about not even a full year after Andrew had passed away. So I was still in a very vulnerable state. And I had seen his initial video where he was saying, it was the initial video where he was in his house with the white shirt or whatever, sweater, and the freaking black hat. And he was saying that, he had to raise $10 million to make this movie. And like, there was something about that video that, like, I had this serious sense of urgency that I needed to help him. And that was probably because of, the experience that I had just went through, obviously, with Andrew. It hit my heartstrings. And I felt like, if I couldn't help Andrew, I could help him. And I remember at that time, the process to try and get close to Corey was to go through his, I don't know what you call it, his web hostess. She runs his websites. She's the one who got our channels taken down. I'm not going to say her name. We all know who she is. I don't know what capacity. She does work for him for free. I don't know what she's not a publicist. I know his publicist, that's different. And then there's his head security, who I believe also works for free. And you had to go through those two channels before you could even get him to speak to you, like, privately, because, I wanted to kind of, at that time, like, it was still so fresh to me that I didn't want to, like, put it out there for everybody to see. And I felt like there was so many people watching at that time that it was like, we do need a way to communicate that isn't in such a public forum. And, I wanted to help him. So I told him my story, and of course it was not my story, Andrew's story. And it's a very heart touching story, because it's the worst case scenario of what could happen in a situation like this if you don't deal with things. Okay. So when I first reached out to him, when I first seen that video, I sensed a very strong, overwhelming sense of urgency and that he needed my help. And that's probably more because of the state of mind I was in at the time. Very vulnerable after Andrew dying, feeling like I failed him and maybe I could save, not save. I've never tried to save anybody, but help somebody. Maybe with the experiences that I had gone through or in my life, maybe it would be of help to somebody else. So a lot of people at that time were coming after him because they were like, at first he had some support, but then he had the other side of the coin where it was like, well, why do you need $10 million to tell your story? If this happened to you, why can't you just name the names? And he did very public interviews. We can pull those up. Megyn Kelly was one, Matt Lauer was another, Barbara Walters was one. Like there's so many people. The list goes on and on and on. And he was like, well, because I can be sued. And it's like, well, dude, if you're telling the fucking truth, you don't have to worry about being sued. Stacy, who's in the chat, we like Heather, who's also in the chat, and myself, and there's other people that are included in this. There was a whole bunch of us. His former band members spoke up and did interviews with us. We were all very public, and you know what? We didn't get sued. And you know why we didn't get sued? Because we were telling the truth. When you have the truth on your side, you don't have to worry about defamation or a liability case or slander or any of those things because it's the truth. So, he's created a career of being a professional victim. And at first, like I said, at first we all supported him until things just simply stopped adding up for most of us. And I can remember the time that we all started to become suspicious and we were afraid to discuss it with one another. But I sensed that it happened around the same time. Stacey, correct me if I'm wrong. I even went as far as to nominate him for Child USA, for Mercy Hamilton after he appeared on Dr. Oz. I reached out to Dr. Oz multiple times. I reached out to multiple sources. He became, and I don't know if he still is, but he was an ambassador for Child USA. And then, ironically, for the same nomination that I gave him, I later rescinded it when I found out that he was selling people not complete truths, maybe half truths, maybe some alleged stories, or maybe some tweaks to it to make it more than what it was, or maybe speaking on someone else's experience altogether. And basically that would be what I would consider to be hearsay. If it's not firsthand information or directly correlated to your own life, how can you speak about somebody else's situations? So I later had to rescind that offer or that nomination to Child USA because Corey sent me a message and said that the board was on the fence about keeping him on the committee for Child USA as an ambassador because there were previous bandmates that were coming forward saying that they were not under the correct, how do I word this? Okay, so as an employee, they didn't have proper working conditions and were exposed to not only inhumane things, but also as an employer, what would be deemed as illegal work conditions. Okay, so there's different parts to the puzzle, if that makes sense. There's so many moving parts to this. It's a mind fuck. If you really want to talk about it one day, it would take multiple stories to explain this in a way that we can convey all the message. Because dude, this went on for 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. You know what the first one was for me? Was I seen Margot's interview and I didn't know what to make of it. Okay. But when I seen Jackie's interview, that was 1,000,000% the straw that broke the camel's back, because I could feel her emotions in that interview, and you could hear in her voice and her telling the story. Even Bobby, the guy that was interviewing her, was like, I have sweat running down my back. Like, I remember listening to it on my way to work, and by the time I got to work, I was like literally in a state of shock all day, because I was just like, somebody would not go on there and jeopardize their entire musical career, or any type of career for that matter, to speak up against a celebrity, or a former, in my opinion, I'm going to say former celebrity, because he is not. He was childhood celebrity, and that he's Z-list now, right? Sorry to burst your bubble, Feldman. I know you're still on my ass watching things, or you got your people on here, but it is what it is. And my story has never changed. Now, you, on the other hand, every single interview, every time you open your mouth, your story freaking changes. And that's what's interesting about a lie. Because when you lie, you have to have a good memory, and you do not. And you think that you would, because you claimed that you had a photographic memory into reciting your lines for your parts, but you can't remember the biggest part that you played in your entire life, and that's the victim. So, yeah, he did. I remember when Bobby first came out, he had us all report his mass report his videos, and at that time we still didn't see it yet. We were in the process of seeing it. We were in the questioning stage. We were in the, like, this doesn't add up stage. But when he went to the New York Senate and stood beside Marcy Hamilton and said that Corey Haim took his own life, and then when he said that he was stabbed, and like TMZ was in the room, and his girlfriend was on one side of the bed and his wife was on the other side of the bed, and it was a freaking glorified zit, that's when it was like, okay, any credibility you had whatsoever is completely gone and done, and I need to separate myself from you. But I didn't want it to be public, which it ultimately became. But there was no way to back out of it quietly without people everybody was questioning it, because it was very public. Yeah, the stabbing was absolutely it. And like I said, Jackie's interview was the absolute straw that broke the camel's back for me. And then, just listening to different people that had different involvement with him, and ultimately ended up having the same stories. And it was just, and this is where I learned the trick that is now relevant to my life, in the sense that if you don't like what you see on the internet, and you have any sort of, maybe, I don't want to say power, because he has zero freaking power, but if you have any sort of people, minions, doing your dirty work for you, and they go and get documents, and they use them out of context, because that DMCA was only supposed to be for the documentary. It wasn't supposed to be for anything else, but they somehow managed to get our YouTube channels taken down with that. So using legal papers in the wrong forum, I think, constitutes some sort of fraud, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. What do I know? I'm no lawyer here, but I speak the truth. I always speak the truth, even if it doesn't make me look good. Okay. And I have no problem saying I screwed up. I've screwed up many times in my life. I have no problem admitting it. I think it's how you own those mistakes that speaks to the integrity of that person. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and I have no problem coming on here and saying I fucked up big time. And I apologize, and it's up to that person if they want to accept my apology and move forward, or if they don't want to speak to me again. But either way, I accept the consequences of my actions. And that's one thing that I absolutely do not respect about somebody, is when they deny it, they censor it, they suppress the truth, they remove it, much like what's happening to us right now in Canada, with the censorship laws and the Online Streaming Act. Like, they're taking things way too far in areas that they really have no business being involved in. But I feel like that fight prepared me for this, in a strange sort of way, because all of these distractions, these PR tricks, these tactics, these methods, everything, I've seen all of this before. It's old news. Like, it's old news. I can predict the next steps that people are going to take without even batting an eyelash, because I've seen this before from people that are supposedly professionals, right? Yeah, yeah. He asked me to send them a note, because So for the sorry, Child USA, he asked me to send a note because the board of directors were having a meeting because one of the girls had come, well, several of the girls had come forward and made allegations against Feldman for inappropriate sexual misconduct in a sense. I don't know if that's the right term, but that's according to them. They've reported those incidents to the police. They've spoken openly about their circumstances, their situations, you know, and when you don't like the message, then you just get it simply wiped out. Okay. It's happened a million times. And then what he was saying in the video with Steve-O about Wikipedia, and his IP address has been blocked and he can't edit that page for 2 years. What he actually meant to say was that his webmaster went on that page, and because she was making so many alterations to that page within such a short time frame, it pegged something in their system to say this is false, and that's why her IP address was blocked. So let's be honest, Corey, about things. You want to make all these allegations towards people, and you have absolutely no proof whatsoever, except your word, which is proven to be untrustworthy. Yeah. And you know what? You know what the unfortunate thing is he had the platform, okay? He had, I do believe that he had bad experiences. I don't doubt that for a second. But I think where he went wrong is that how he handled it and how he dangled the carrot for so many years and tried to make a career out of it. And you know, for shits and giggles, one day I'll go through my DMs on Twitter because I still have them all. And I'll never forget the day that he asked me to try and set up John, what was his name? John Grissom with a good looking kid and try and get him because he's wanted on arrest warrants. So, you know, and then he had so many stories about that. And then we started comparing notes, and it was like, dude, you're such a fucking liar. Like you would think, hey Jerry, I'm glad that you caught my live. Good to see you, buddy. And you would think, you know, someone that's played a role for most of his life would be a better actor. But maybe the true acting started when he started talking about his real life and stopped reading a script. It wasn't about him in the end. And you know, like Bobby Wolf had walked away from this scene years prior to that. And for him to put Bobby Wolf in that documentary after 2 years at least of Bobby being silent was absolutely unfair. And he is so lucky that he didn't get sued for that. But nobody believes anything that comes out of his mouth. He has ruined his own credibility. And he has nobody to blame for that except himself. And it's unfortunate because whatever story happened to him, whatever happened to him as a child, maybe he could have went on to do good things with that. But he chose to drag it out, make it a lie, make it not even about him, make it more so about a friend that's deceased, which who fucking does that, okay? I have many friends in my life that have unfortunately passed away, and never in a million years would I ever go and do what he has done to the memory of his so-called best friend. So, hey, Evelyn, how's it going? Holy crap, I haven't seen you in a while, girl. Talking about the old Feldman days. There's so much to go through. Like, you know, I've tried talking about this, and it's like people are like, oh, she's all over the place. And it's like, well, that's because this has been years. And I tried to block a lot of this out because it caused a lot of pain for me, for a lot of us. You know, it was very personal to a lot of us for many different reasons. And you know, I think people also really started to doubt him. Even his most loyal and faithful supporters started to doubt him when he tried to get temporary restraining orders on some of our friends. And it was granted in the beginning. But let me clarify how that works. You can walk into any courthouse and say that you want a temporary restraining order on this person, and it gets granted at that moment. Then you get scheduled a court date, and you need to explain and justify why this should be a permanent protective order. And he couldn't even be bothered to show up to court. But our friend did. with files upon files upon files. So yeah, like, I mean, there's just so many stories. Like we spent so many hours doing research, and there was so many of us. Like, sometimes I miss those days, and then other times it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, how did we even get messed up in this? But out of it all, we met some good people, and you know, we learned some lessons that I think we'll never forget. Um, and you know, some were good and some were not good, but either way, we'll never forget those. um Heather, could you please drop again the link to my PayPal if anybody would like to donate to a friend that's in need of some help? um and I will send messages privately to people if you would prefer to send an email money transfer if you don't use PayPal. If you're watching from another country, I don't have Cash App. It's not available in Canada. I apologize for that. But she is a friend that would literally give you the shirt off her back, and she needs some help, like we all do from time to time. Times are tough for everybody right now, you guys. She lives in a state that gets a lot of tropical storms. She's been living with a damaged roof for 3 freaking months. It's taken for the landlord to finally get his ass in gear to try and fix the house. She's got many kids that she's trying to raise, all the while dealing with a serious medical health issue. But still, no matter what's going on in her life, she still is the type of person that would give you the shirt off her back. And she was too proud to ask for help. I just sensed something was up, and I offered to do this. This is something that we used to do in our community previously. So please don't, be offended that I'm asking for money to help out a friend. I have no problem asking for money to help out any friend that needs it. Sometimes we all need a hand up in life, not a handout, but a hand up. And she's doing everything that she can to support herself and her family. And it would make me feel good if I can even just help lessen the burden in some way. So yeah, I wouldn't be either. In fact, I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't started. You know how he is when someone dies. Now, I haven't checked his page in probably years, to be honest with you. Like, we even had to make a video one time because he's calling us all hackers, and he's like, complaining to Twitter, like, I blocked these people. I don't know how they are still able to see my page. And it's like, I literally made a video one day, and I was like, are you that stupid that you don't realize that your tweets are shown on Google? You don't even need to have the Twitter app to see your tweets, you dumbass. So I literally made a video showing him how it's done. And then I was like, we don't need to respond to you. We just see who responds to your tweet, and then we talk to them. Like, he's so clueless. Like, but I don't think he's that clueless. He just wants to be the victim. I haven't even attempted to speak to that man in I don't know how many years, probably close to 2, 3, maybe. I don't know. My concept of time, everything to me is the other day, you guys. Like, what the hell? Um, he's one of those people. He's like my PM, my toddler prime minister. If it's bad news, I can't look at it. Like, we can't deal with reality. We can't have conversations and opposing views, and even have a civil conversation and agree to disagree, or even have a fucking fight. Like, let's fight this out. If you think I'm wrong, come face me. How many times, Stace, did we have lives and put the link in the chat saying, come on this panel right now? We know you're watching us, because within minutes he would either be live on Twitter or crying on Instagram. We know everything. Like, we knew exactly what his game was. We played him at his own game. He got, and that's what he didn't like. But he would never face us. He hides like a bubble boy. And I'm so sick of people like that. And I'm even more sick of catering to people like that, because it's not helping anybody. And you're not teaching the next generations that are growing up in this world how to handle conflict or resolution or problem solving skills. You're teaching them to bury their heads in the sand like ostriches and ignore shit. And I'll tell you what, you're just going to breed a fucking generation of alcoholics and drug addicts and criminals, because you're not going to give them the tools they need to succeed in life. How's that for some fun facts for you? But I mean, it's time, okay? I don't know if you guys know who Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is. He is a psychologist. He is a very public person. I think he's got over 3 million followers on Twitter. He does speaking engagements. I don't believe he does private practice anymore. I could be wrong on that. But because of his social media posts and his political posts, you know what the College of Physicians and Psychologists are doing now? They're making him undergo mandatory retraining on social media. And if he doesn't do this, he could possibly be stripped of his license to practice psychology. Who in the world gets to make these decisions because of opposing views? And he only has two choices of two different women that have been, conveniently appointed. But like, when did this world become so snowflake-ish? Sorry, did I say a wrong word? I probably did. I get going and then I say words backwards, or I say something wrong and it's like, there. Sorry, but I get on a freaking tangent and then yeah, yeah. Um, no, on Twitter. Well, actually, what happened was they reinstated his old Twitter account. So when Elon took over, they reinstated his major account because I can't remember why he lost. Oh, I do know why, and I kind of don't want to touch that subject. But it's a very woke ideology that you either support or you don't. And he was very outspoken about his views, which a lot of people are. But I think that it needs to be handled with tact because there's so many snowflakes in this world that you just can't simply state your opinion without being labeled something. Like, I don't do labels, I don't do cancel culture. I even can have discussions and civil discussions with people that disagree with me. And you know why? Because maybe they might teach me something, or maybe I might teach them something, or maybe we can find some common ground. How do you learn anything? How do you evolve if you are so afraid to hear facts and stories and information? you know and it took me having a fight with my best friend to realize what the answer to that question was. And I realized the way that they handled a certain situation depended on where you lived geographically. I have to be very careful with the wording that I use for this, but all of the information that we're now finding out about certain things that we're not allowed to discuss in the open because we're, not adults and can't have this conversation, is coming from the UK. They were given a lot of information that in Canada they buried and have made it unavailable to us for 75 years. And they made us feel wrong for asking questions. I don't know about you guys, but I have ADD. It's attention deficit disorder. My mind learns differently than other people's. It always has. And I've had it from the time I was a kid, but didn't know it until I was like 34, okay? Hey, James, how are you? Exactly. You cannot evolve if your head is in the sand. And I don't believe that. But I like having conversations. I like if I can learn something new, I'm totally in favor of that. And I'm open-minded. I'm willing to listen to reasonable people. And I've tried to have this conversation with many different people. And I do acknowledge the progress that we've made in the last year. It's come a long way. There's still a long way to go in that arena, and I hope that it continues to keep going in a forward positive direction. But again, if you're being pretty much disowned by society just for having questions, to be able to make an informed decision, that doesn't sit right with me. I don't know. And I'm not trying to take it there. You know what? Honestly, that's not what this is about. It just come up because of a certain assimilation that I noticed while I was speaking. I apologize, and I will take it off the table. This isn't about a political stream. It's about actually helping a friend in need. A very good friend of mine has helped me more than she even knows. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't even be here, truth be told. It wasn't long ago that I was not in a very good place. I the coping skills that I was using were not helping me at all. And I kept trying to reach out for help. to, professionals and to doctors and this and that. And I wasn't getting any support, and I was starting to feel hopeless, and I was starting to feel lost. And I don't know how she did it. I wish I knew how she did it, because like I'm kind of stubborn, and there's only certain people that I listen to, but the way that she handled that situation just changed my complete outlook. And like I I will forever be grateful and indebted to her for that. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. So that's why I want to go out of my way to help herself and her family. Because if there's anybody in this world that deserves it, it's her. And she has too much pride to do this herself, which I totally respect and understand, because I can't do that either. Asking for help is the hardest thing for me, and I don't know why. Because you and I are both the same type of people that would be there to help somebody um when needed, even without being asked. We just instinctively know what to do. And I would do that for anybody. Anybody that you know, I consider a friend or a family member. I just 6 hour wait. What the hell? Why a 6 hour wait? Like, were they short staffed, or what? Was there something major going on? Like, I don't understand, because aren't they supposed to have a response time of like 9 minutes? I am at a loss for words. I've never heard that before. Like, I can't even imagine like in our country it's 911, and I can't imagine calling 911 and requesting help and being told it would be a 6 hour wait, when it's your mother, first of all. Because I used to be so like you are about your mom, Stace. I used to be like that with my mom, like so overprotective. And I would have lost my what was left of my bloody fucking mind. Like, what do you mean 6 hours? I'll throw over my shoulder and bring her in my car. CM5, bitch. Sorry, but they are, and it's happening all over the world. And I wish I had the answers, because I know what the problems are, but I don't want to keep looking at the problems, because all it does is piss me off and makes me feel hopeless. And I'm the type of person who, maybe it's because I was conditioned to think this way for being management for so many years, but when I see a problem, I look at the solutions, and I don't know how to fix it, because this is above my pay grade by a lot. And had an 18-hour wait for an emergency. What the fuck? What is the reason for this? Is there a reason for this? Can someone explain this to me? I know each country is different. I know that they keep saying that there's a strain on the healthcare, but make it make sense, you guys, please. I can't understand it. Well, I think you should, Chris, because if God forbid you ever need the frickin' hospital, they'll send you a massive bill, man. Trust me on that one. Oh, and ambulance services. What? What? In our country? I know you're in Scotland, James, I believe, if I remember correctly. But in our country, nurses, doctors, paramedics, police, any civil servant, um, emergency service personnel is not allowed to strike. I remember that when she fell and broke her hip, Kim, my sister, had to put her in the car and drive her to the hospital. I know. I this, you know, when I hear these stories of things like this, like it makes my blood boil to a frickin' rage. Like, I'm telling you, okay? Because when you're talking about someone's loved ones and their livelihood, and if it could be a matter of life and death, um, there is absolutely not one single thing that they could say that they're overstaffed, under budgeted. I don't give a flying fuck, because if it was your mother and she's, whatever, like, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing. Staff are overworked and underpaid. Inflation here is something to like 14%, and the healthcare. Yeah, I know, but that is unacceptable to me. That is not a good enough reason to me. We are just a number to the government. I know that. And you know, I don't know how to fix a system that is so broken and there's so much mistrust. And I don't even know what a starting point would be for that. Because even, okay, let's just play devil's advocate for 1 second and say someone was like trying to make an honest reconciliation. Okay. Say, I don't care who it is, just pick a person. Say, I don't know, like pick whoever, like even an actor, I don't care. If they came on TV and said, okay, this is what we're going to do, nobody would believe them. My family practically got dragged out of my loved ones' hospital rooms because they didn't want. Yes, I know. I know. I had a friend of over 30 years die in a house fire, and this was at the beginning, and he wasn't even allowed to have a funeral at all. And the unfortunate thing about it is his younger brother lived with him. He was able to get out of the house because he was on the second floor. The fire had started down in the basement where John was. Miles got out, John didn't. He was in a state of shock, obviously. He literally got out of the house in only his pajamas, because this was like early morning, right? Like, I want to say like 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Who the hell's up at that time? Well, me, because I work stupid hours and my schedule's retarded. But and the unfortunate thing is John couldn't get out, and they didn't have house insurance. So not only did Miles lose his brother John, and they were best friends, inseparable from the time, as long as I've ever known them, they were always inseparable. He literally left the house in his pajamas. It happened on Easter weekend, and we couldn't even have a funeral. And I will tell you, that's devastating in and of itself, not being able to have a funeral. I had one friend pass away in a car accident when I lived out west, and I had just started a new job, and I couldn't come back for the funeral. My family went on my behalf because she was like one of us, right? She was one of the Stearns, basically. And just not being able to go and get that closure, it really has a damaging effect. Like, I believe it's part of the grieving process. So well, okay, hang on, let me read on. Let me check what I've missed here, because they're okay. Hang on. They are for the first time since the NHS was created, now going on strike. It's being done on purpose to make healthcare private. Well, that's what they're trying to do here. And I've seen it from both systems, to be honest with you. Like, when I lived out west, they do have more of a private kind of healthcare than they do here in Ontario. Okay. If you're willing to pay, you get better treatment. Now, how do they propose to do those strikes? Would that be like everybody walks out and there's nobody on staff? Or would it be like, selected people, and, how would that strike look like? The military is the only way. Restructure of government based on the, well, see, we are a Commonwealth country. And in my, I can only speak for my country, and I don't mean to offend anybody. And again, this is not what this is about. I hate politics, you guys. I really do. It's all about the things that they're doing that affect people and our lives. That's why I'm talking about this. It's not about politics. Believe me, it's not. So I don't mean to offend anybody. If you have different views, I totally respect that. Up until 3 years ago, I couldn't have told you basically a damn single thing about politics, and I still couldn't. The only thing I'm focusing on are the bills they're passing in the night, and the non-transparency. Like I said, I was management for 15, almost 20 years. Okay. the core principle values that I had to, or maybe I chose to instill in myself and in my team, were transparency and honesty and open communication and listening with your listening ears to your people and your team, no matter how small the issue, because to them it's a big deal and you need to follow up with them. And if you can't fix it, you need to find somebody that can. And you need to document things. And if somebody is not performing to standards, you need to be open and clear with them. And you need to sit down with them and say, okay, this is where you are. This is where I would like you to be. These are the steps we're going to take. And we're going to meet, every week or month or whatever it is. And we're going to set these goals together and we're going to achieve them. And I'm going to give you the tools to succeed. I see none of those things coming from my leader. And I wonder where I got these values from, because it just seems like those are all things of the past. And it's very sad to me because those are such important core values. Like hey. Okay, let me go back. I missed some comments again. I apologize. Hang on. Wow, did I ever? Okay, so the military, I don't believe is on our side. I know that you told me, Heather, that they are reinstating the military with back pay. And that's an excellent step. And I hope that's something that will happen in different areas of the world. But so far, I haven't seen that yet. In fact, what they've done here is opened it up to allow people from other countries to come and join our military. But the unfortunate thing is that they wouldn't be able to actually serve for 2 years. There's a process that they have to go through, and it's a 2-year process. So if something happened and we were attacked, we do not have the infrastructure to survive. I got refused a minor operation because I wouldn't be tested. That's horrible. The point of the NHS is to be free to the point of use. It's breaking my heart to see what it's coming to. And from what I heard, they will get the military in to help when they strike. So basically what you're telling me is there's going to be like concentration camps set up and the military is going to look after the people. Is that what you're saying? Am I understanding that right? I know I'm scared of the WEF, and they need to get the WEF out of here, and I don't support it, and they're not my fucking people. Ugh. I thought Canada had a good mix of private and taxation. Oh, it's failing everywhere. It's not specific to one area, and it's getting worse. If it's done in the dark, they know what they're doing. What they're passing is wrong. Yeah, they pass bills at night and don't even tell people, and they don't even go through proper procedure. Like, I wonder if we, as just regular ass citizens, could get away with the things that they're doing. I know. And again, that's not where I wanted the direction of this conversation to go. It's more about people and what we can do collectively as humans to try and help other humans, even if that means that we have to build our own communities. And I don't know. Like, I'm looking to brainstorm ideas. Like, there's got to be another way, and we got to give up on the fact that somebody's going to swoop in and save us. Buddy of mine's just getting his hernia surgery now 10 months later, and he plays the game. Wow. The money laundered our taxes through FTX. I wish I knew more about that. I have purposely stayed away from crypto and Bitcoin because I don't understand it. And I felt like right from the beginning it was kind of a scam. And maybe I wasn't wrong. Yeah, that's hilarious. I tell my friends that all the time. Caw. Yep. They go into hospitals, and that's the point. Is I believe in transparency. I believe in communication. I believe in having discussions. I believe in brainstorming ideas together, because the ones that we were supposed to be able to trust as alleged leaders have proven that they're anything but that. And I feel like the onus falls on our shoulders to protect ourselves, our friends, our family. And I don't know how to do that. The only way that I see being able to do that, honestly, is going off grid, really, in a community with like-minded people. Because no matter what system you look at, I can only speak for Canada. But if it's the healthcare system, if it's the school system, if it's the judicial system, if it's the political system, there's corruption everywhere, police everywhere. It's involved in every facet of our lives. It just used to be hidden much better than it is now. Now they openly do these things, almost with a smile and a finger in the air, like, to say, ha ha, we got the power. We got the power. Well, guess what? You know what? Maybe you don't. Yeah, Nicole, Heather, she's awesome, but I don't understand the Q thing. I don't understand the codes or all that. Like, I remember I first talked to her in the beginning and I was trying to understand it. I still don't understand it. I don't even touch that because unless it affects me, like I don't know how to explain it. It needs to have a personal meaning for me to take it on as a passion project, if that makes sense. Oh no. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. I feel sorry for every single person that had to die alone without their family. That those are the types of things that you can't ever get back. And those are the types of things that change a person's lives forever. It's very sad. And it's easy to believe, based on our past, our history, and our future is looking pretty bleak. But I mean, we have to believe in something. And there's been some people that I followed and I used to really like, I used to actually catch every one of his podcasts, but lately I've noticed that he's been more negative and just comes on, he's like, yep, we're fucked, there's no solution, blah blah blah. And it's just like, I feel very like down after I listen to his stuff. So I've kind of stopped watching his shows for a bit because it's like, dude, if we have that defeatist attitude, then we're not going to get anywhere. Like, you either die on your fucking feet or on your knees, and you need to fucking figure it out, And I refuse to accept this shit. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm the idiot here. I don't know, but I refuse to accept this. I know. My uncle died alone. Only my father could visit. Then, yes, I will never forget. And that's the thing. They don't realize or want to acknowledge the real trauma that they have caused real people that leads to post-traumatic stress. There's more evidence to suggest that I'm not a scientist or a doctor or a medical professional. I have to use that disclaimer. But as a civilian, as a person who has PTSD myself from something prior to this, many years prior, on a totally unrelated subject, I had this conversation with my doctor like a couple weeks ago. I was like, dude, what's the difference between PTSD and complex PTSD? And he's like, well, one's harder to treat than the other. And I'm like, okay, I've had this shit for 8 years. It's been untreated, right? Like, I'm not responding to treatment. So maybe we need to look at this as like, complex PTSD. And I said, and there's no doubt in my mind that the last couple of years with all the lockdowns and the isolation, have definitely worsened my symptoms. And he even agreed with me, and I was kind of shocked that he did. But again, you can't ignore facts, right? I'm not afraid. I'm not paranoid. I'm not hurt. I'm not anything anymore. I'm wide awake. Knowledge is a powerful thing. Sometimes it's not always great to have knowledge because it almost makes you wonder who's the crazy one. Is it us because we see it, or is it them because they don't? And then when you see like the ones you love, the ones that you care about, just not wanting to listen or accept or anything and making decisions that could potentially take them away from us, that's sad to me. So do I there's a lot of times I wish I didn't know, because I was a lot happier. I was way more carefree. I lived for the moment. I didn't worry about it. But I think I'm in a good place now. I think I've refocused my energies on focusing on what matters, on things that I can control, things that I can help, things that I have the tools to be able to fix. And as long as you have the attitude that this is unacceptable, we can do better, we must accept better, and somebody better step the fuck up and do what's right soon before people start taking the law into their own hands, because that day's coming closer than people fucking realize. Um, unless they want a bigger problem, then they're gonna at some point, maybe when election time's coming around, they'll open their listening ears. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Hang on. Bill. Oh yeah. Okay, hang on. Well, yeah, and I try to surround myself with positive people. Uh, I like to joke around, I like to have fun. I'm kind of a smart ass. It's better than being a dumbass. Um, you know, I mean, it absolutely baffles me when people choose to not question, at least, if nothing else, just question things. Not necessarily see it the same way that we do, but if you're not questioning certain things and certain decisions and policies and trajectories and plans and shit like that, that does not benefit humanity. Like, there should be question marks all over the place. That's I can't let that one. I can't approve that one because they watch me too close. um but yeah, well, and they are, and it's a real thing. There's this is it's funny because, again, my background, this is where it comes in handy, is like repetition and mass psychosis. And when you are paying people to sell a story and they're all selling the same thing, um and you just keep repeating it over and over and over, no matter if it's true or not, then people tend to believe it. Yeah, but there's something above the WEF, and I'm not sure what it is. My mom's generation lost JFK. You'd think after 10 years of questioning who related it would make that generation not trust the people who runs our countries. Well, I find that once they get to, like, if your mom is as old as my dad, I think the closer they get to um the I don't want to say it, but you know where I'm going with this. The older they get, they choose to have those rose-colored glasses on. And who's to say that we won't? I don't know. I don't know because I'm not there yet, but all I know is I'm too woke to go broke. Sorry, I just need to take a drink. They admitted on the news. This is where I wish that I had more knowledge about American history and well, they're definitely set in their ways. Yeah, I wish I had more knowledge on American history. There's some things I know, but I'm not, I this is why we need each other, because the same thing's happening in all these countries, but it's in a different correlation. So we need to find the dots to connect them and a way to beat them at their own game. Like, I refuse to accept defeat. That's just the way it is. Like, I'm not a quitter. Mama didn't raise no fool. And you just, like our buddy says, you find your friends, you build your communities, you build your strength, you try and figure something out, because we cannot lean on people we thought that we could trust, which is a sad reality, but it's good to know, because then you can make other arrangements. I wish I knew more about that situation with JFK. Like, I've heard a lot of different theories, and I wish I had the knowledge um that you guys do. Like, this is something that we could all talk about. Like, we could start a group chat and we could talk about that for hours. Like, I would love to learn about it. But it's so hard to know what to believe. It depends on who's telling the story, like the version that you get. It is, I like things based on evidence and facts as opposed to theories and opinions. Um, God knows we've all been called conspiracy theorists long enough, but I don't know, like when everything that you have predicted has come true, at what point does it go from being a conspiracy theorist to somebody who just has the foresight to see 10 steps ahead? Because some of us have that, unfortunately. And I do say unfortunately because it's not always a gift. Okay, like some of us don't want to see the next 10 steps. Okay, um but when they're passing bills in the night and they're taking away any means that you have to defend yourself, and they're attacking the food supply and the roof over your head and your security and your livelihood, and they're doing everything to make you feel unsafe and unsecure, when you threaten a person's security, their livelihood, their house, their heating and their food and their children and everything, that's when you can manipulate people easily. And you can only back somebody into a corner for so long before they eventually come out swinging. So all roads lead to Rome. Yeah, well, I don't want to say anything offensive, but I'm not shedding any tears with a certain person. It's, if you look at the people who are passing away, like, again, I don't want it to offend anybody, but they've caused a lot of damage to certain cultures very targetedly, and supported the colonization of society and people. And now they're dying, and it's like, before they even had a chance to redeem themselves. I don't watch TV. I don't even have cable at all. Because, and I never, even when I did have cable, I definitely didn't watch the news. I look at the messages they're peddling out, like the headlines, basically. But I have my sources of information. They're reliable. And you know, I pay attention to reliable sources. Anyone believes magical theory. See, I don't even know what that is because I'm Canadian. See, this one I wish I knew more. Yeah, I think they're doing a lot of things to mock us. And, they just don't want to fucking let it go. They don't want to let it go. They're talking about it coming back again and all of these other things, and it's just like they just want us constantly pissed off. So someone oversteps their boundaries, and then they have the right to use Gestapo force on us again, like they did the first time in January and February of last year. And if they think we've forgotten about that, believe me, those images do not leave your mind. When you're looking down the barrel of an LRAD machine and you have to Google what the fuck it is because you think it's a tank right in front of you, and you're getting kettled by the police at the same time and trampling horses, those are not images you forget anytime soon. I always react, and I'm good on my feet. Oh, I know. And this is where I said before, where I think that the previous battle I was involved in prepared me for this, because it's a diversion tactic. They create a mess over here, so your focus is to the left, and on the right they're doing this, and you don't notice this. Like it's so transparent to people that have seen this shit before. But at the same time, to people that haven't seen this before, it's a very good way of keeping people in the dark. Again, I wish I knew more about the January 6th thing too. Like I knew there was an incident. I don't know the story. Like I wish I knew. And again, not having cable doesn't help either, I've got more into natural medicine since all of the virus. I had my first cold and I used was onion water and garlic and honey. Ew, that sounds really yuck. But I agree with the natural remedies. I look for homeopathic remedies, herbal shit. Weed is good. um, yeah. Well, and what do you guys think about the Twitter files? Like, I mean, I've only paid attention here and there a little bit. it's too many hours in a row for me. Like the ADD kicks in, and then it's like, well, you know, can we shorten this shit and make Cliff Notes versions of it? Because I'm definitely interested. And I think everything needs to be exposed. And I have a couple different ideas in my head of what I think could be happening, but I'm not sure, and I would like some more information before I make my decision. So I'm reserving my right to make judgment at this time. Well, you know what the sad thing is they pick and choose and mostly ignore our Constitution here in Canada. And I find that extremely offensive to me. And they only use it on their behalf when it benefits them. And it makes me want to ragdoll a bitch. Like, if, what is it going to take? Is it going to take, like, vigilantes? Like, I mean, are we not supposed to be progressing in this world, or are we regressing? Because it seems like we're going backwards to times that did not serve us well in the first place. And his handlers, his advisors, like, why are these people allowed to get away with this shit? Like, they're supposed to represent the people, and they're not. They're representing their best interests because they can. And diapers and politicians need to be changed for the same reasons. Can you read the next Twitter files? If it's the shorter version. But see, this is the thing, and I talked about this in another live that I did earlier, and it was a situation that happened to me when I first became management, and I was put in a very awkward and compromising position from a manager, and I really struggled with the morality of it. And I went in on my own time because he wanted me to falsify documents over an employee that he didn't like so she could be terminated. And I struggled with that. So I was working nights at the time. I went home. It was like, 11 or 12 in the day now. I'm still up. I'm tossing and turning, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I went to work, and I went to the freaking building manager, and I was like, I used to look up to him. I used to respect him. I used to think that he was actually a good guy. Like, at one time I would have even said my mentor. I went in and I explained to him. He's like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be sleeping. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like, this is what's on my mind, and I don't know what to do about it. Like, I was new to management. I was just looking for some direction and some advice. And to make a long story short, they looked at me as the problem, not the manager that asked me to falsify the documents. And it taught me at a very, very young age, I think I was only about 25, 26 at the time, that doing the right thing isn't always a good thing in people's minds. But I'm never going to change who I am to suit these shady fucks. It's not going to happen. That's not in my blood. It's not my culture. So every time I see evil, I'm going to call it out. And I don't care if they look at me as the problem or not. I've had Target on my back for years. Like, why do you think I'm on my 5th YouTube channel? Okay. But it doesn't bother me. I'm still going to speak the truth. Maybe they should learn to accept it. And maybe they should learn to accept responsibility for their shitty fucking actions that have destroyed real people's lives. How about that, huh? Okay. Yep. Yep. Well, I showed you that there's that one video that's on my channel. And it was the guy who had the 40-pound balloon boobs, and the teacher and the students were protesting, and they said, there's a dress code for the students, but not for the fucking faculty, and we're not going to do anything about it. And it's like, no, you're not going to do anything about it because it's a walking lawsuit and you don't want to get involved in it. But you could handle this situation as an employer, and you're letting it slide because you have an agenda. And it's sickening. Like, it's really sickening. Oops. I don't know. It's just, I'm glad I didn't have kids the way I see things going now. Like, and I have 2 nieces, and I'm very concerned for their futures. especially my youngest niece. She was just born last year, like not even a year old yet. And I'm really scared to think of what the world's going to look like for her. And I don't know. I don't even want to think of it. Yeah. Well, and look at the people that do speak up. They silence us, they censor us, like, they delete stuff, they hide stuff, like, they call us names, they try to make you look crazy so nobody will believe you. They create division so your friends don't want to talk to you now, like, and it's all done by design. And that's what I'm saying about, we need to stay a step ahead of them, but like they don't show their cards. So you need to think in the worst possible case scenario. Like for a peaceful protest, our government and our police, head of police wanted to bring in tanks on us. And they talked about that before we even arrived in Ottawa. For a peaceful protest, you guys, you've seen it. Like it's just, I don't know. That's why you got to just try and stay positive, because if not, like then you sink to their level. And I refuse to do that. Well, the thing is it has happened before, but it's not something that I've experienced in my lifetime. So when I see it happening now in real time, it's new to me, and I don't I don't have the answers. I know they don't. They don't even want humans, they just want robots. There's certain people I'm convinced are robots already. Zuckerberg, I think, is one. Like he doesn't even look human. But I don't know. It is what it is. But again, if Heather could drop the link, if anybody would like to donate and help assist it out, who would be there for any one of us if we needed it without even having to ask, please donate and I will forward the money on to her. It's for a good cause. If you have it, pay it forward, because there might be a time when you need it, and I'll be the first one to stick up for you as well and help you out. So I will. Well, they're taking our firearms. I don't even have firearms. I don't need them. I'm strong, man. Believe me, I don't need firearms for sure. But you know what they are doing now is, so they had this plan that they were gonna, take away handguns, and then it turned into hunters rifles and basically all firearms now. And now they're talking about hiring people to basically go to people's homes and try to confiscate legal firearms that people purchase with real money, so they can, fund wars that are happening in other parts of the world that we have no business being involved in. So I have no fear of death either. I've looked it in the eyes and said, yeah, come get me. A couple times in my life. There's definitely 3 or more times that I can think of that I can honestly say I shouldn't be here, but I am, and I just believe when it's your time, and that's it. But I don't fear anything anymore. Really. I've seen the worst, lived it for a long time. So at some point the tides will turn and the power will shift, and they will get to experience all the uncomfortable things that they've put us through for the last several years. And I think that that will be their karma, and I can't wait for it to happen. So yeah. Well, you guys, I think I'm going to end this for now. I'm going to, when this video posts, I'm going to post the link to my PayPal in the description and in the comment section. If you would like to donate, please do so. And I will catch up with you guys soon. I appreciate you guys joining me. Thanks very much, you guys. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out, bitches.